Hey, welcome to Module 10. So this module and the previous one both focus on leadership. In this module, we look at kind of a range of different leadership concepts. Emergent leaders, shared leadership, transformational leadership are a few of them. So I'll give a brief overview here and then highlight some concepts and talk you through the assignments. So here's a few things you need to know. The reading this week is the second part of your textbook chapter, pages 145 to 160 to the end of the chapter. This includes a variety of different ideas about leadership, including what it takes for leaders to emerge in a group where there isn't a leader appointed, how our social understandings of gender influence what we think of as leadership, what it means to have truly shared leadership, and the differences between leadership in face-to-face and virtual settings, something that you all are having quite a bit of experience with in this online course. So these ideas are highlighted in your reading and also evident in the PowerPoint slides on the quiz. You'll use them in the case discussion as usual. So one big idea from this reading that I want to talk about a little bit is transformational leadership. So transformational leaders are charismatic, larger-than-life visionary leaders who inspire people to act. A lot of our historical leaders that we think of as really impressive, like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., or famous business leaders like Steve Jobs of Apple, or even political leaders can be understood as transformational leaders. But ordinary people can be transformational leaders too. Usually we think of transformational leaders as really good. We see them as role models, and we're emotionally moved by their ability to create a compelling vision for our group or organization. They're just really invigorating and inspiring. Transformational leaders are especially great storytellers, and they can inspire and empower group members through the stories that they tell about who the organization or group is, where we're going, what we can be together in the future. So the reading describes how you can develop your own abilities to be a transformational leader. And there's a lot of great stuff about being a transformational leader. But I'm going to give you a word of caution, and this goes beyond what's in the book a little bit. Transformational leaders can sometimes mislead people and inspire them to do unethical things. So other historical figures who we think of as transformational leaders have ended up being terrible dictators, right? And have done horrible things and inspired people, millions of people, to follow them to do terrible things. So even though we might be inspired by them, it's important that to keep clarity on your own values and to maintain your critical thinking skills so you don't get swept up in something you don't actually believe in. Don't be blinded by charisma and lose your ability to be a thoughtful, ethical, and productive group member or just member of society. So transformational leadership, interesting idea, also kind of tricky. So this module also includes a video about why we have so many incompetent leaders. So the title of the video focuses on gender, but the speaker actually presents a much broader set of ideas about why, as a society, we tend to idolize and select certain kinds of people to be leaders. When you watch this video, consider how well his argument fits with the ideas from our readings and your own personal experiences with leadership. You'll be asked to reflect on the video in your personal journal, and you may also use it in the case discussion. So the group work in this module involves generating criteria that you'll use to analyze your possible solutions. Now, we talked about criteria in a past module when we were learning about the functional perspective on group decision making. Basically, when you're coming up with criteria, you should be asking yourself, how will I know if a proposed solution is a good one? How will I know that it really works? What features would any successful solution need to have? You might remember when I talked about criteria before, I used the example of like a family going to buy a car. Before we go car shopping, we have to have a sense for what we need in a car, what our budget is, what our limitations are. Do we want a minivan or do we want a sports car, right? We have to have some sort of criteria for deciding which one is right for us. So your group is solving a social problem, not buying a car, obviously, but the process is similar. Remember, the criteria should be things that apply to all the solutions, not just one of them, right? And they can help you kind of compare solutions and evaluate which one is best. For example, cost is often a criterion that people use to make decisions. If I have a certain amount of money allocated to solve a problem, it's important to me to know how much each of the possible solutions is likely to cost, or at least have kind of a ballpark of one is going to be way more expensive than the other. Money isn't the only thing that matters, of course. Some other criteria could be things like how effective the solution will be at addressing all parts of the problem. Some of your solutions might only address one part rather than all of them, and you would want to know that in your analysis. You might also look at how long a solution would take to implement, or how much impact proposed solution would have on specific stakeholder groups, right? So in this milestone, what you should do is look at the problem analysis that you did before and use it to help you figure out what those criteria are. You're going to actually use the criteria in your next milestone. Make sense? All right, that's it for now. I hope you enjoy the material and have a good time working on your group project. Let me know what questions you have. I'm available, as always, and happy to talk to you about the class. All right.